After what feels like forever, I, a 27-year-old man, decided it was time to open up about what's been going on in my life recently. Here's the situation. Up until recently, I thought I was about to marry the love of my life, Tessa, who is 26. We had been together for 4 years, and for most of that time, everything seemed great. But now, I find myself reflecting on how I missed all the signs. Tessa and I met at a birthday party through a mutual friend. She was funny, confident, and had a straightforward approach to life that really resonated with me. I had been in relationships before, but no one ever clicked with me like she did. We quickly became a couple, and after a year, we moved in together. Things felt natural, like we were on the same page about careers, marriage, and eventually having a family. Tessa was a freelance graphic designer, and I worked as a project manager at a tech company, so our schedules often aligned. Life wasn't flashy, but it was fulfilling. We'd been talking about getting married for a while, but it wasn't until last year that I finally proposed. Nothing extravagant, just a simple dinner for the two of us at home. Tessa seemed overjoyed, crying, hugging me, and saying yes. That evening, we started imagining our future, a wedding in the fall, a small guest list, and a lovely lakeside venue. It felt like everything was falling into place. Or so I thought. The first signs of trouble were subtle, small things that I ignored because I didn't want to overthink. For instance, Tessa's excitement for wedding planning faded after a few months. Initially, she was all in, creating Pinterest boards, picking out dresses, and asking me about small details like whether I preferred tulips or roses for the centerpieces. But then, it all stopped. I'd ask her questions like, "Have you chosen your bridesmaids yet?" And she'd respond, "Not yet, I'm still thinking about it." The same thing happened with decisions about the dress, cake, and music. Everything we had been excited about seemed to be postponed. At first, I told myself it was just stress. Wedding planning can be overwhelming, right? Plus, Tessa had a lot going on at work, so I figured she'd snap out of it eventually. What I didn't realize, though, was that her lack of interest wasn't about the wedding at all. It was about us. The real eye-opener came one evening when we were out with friends. Someone brought up the popular TikTok game, where you answer personal questions without showing emotion. Everything was going fine until the question came up. If you could relive any past relationship, which one would it be? Without missing a beat, Tessa responded, "Oh, probably Dylan." Just like that. Dylan, her college ex, the guy who had cheated on her. The room went silent, and she awkwardly laughed it off, trying to explain, "Not that I want to, it's just a significant part of my past." I wanted to confront her then and there, but we were with friends, so I let it slide. Later, when we were alone, I asked her about it. "What was it about Dylan that made you choose him?" I asked. She dismissed it, shrugging it off as no big deal. "It's just a game, Liam. Don't take it so seriously." She changed the subject, and I didn't press it because I didn't want to start a fight over something that seemed trivial. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. From then on, her behavior became more noticeable. She spent more time on her phone, smiling at her texts in a way that made me uneasy. She started making vague excuses for why she couldn't hang out or why she'd cancel plans last minute. "Sorry, I've got a lot of work to catch up on tonight," she'd say, or, "I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend." The excuses weren't suspicious on their own, but they were starting to pile up. It felt like I was becoming less of a priority to her. Then everything changed on a Friday night. I came home from work early, excited to spend a quiet evening with Tessa. I was hoping we could order food and watch something together, but when I walked in, something felt off. She was sitting on the couch, staring at her laptop with no real focus. "Hey, I'm home," I said, trying to break the tension. "You're early," she replied, almost as if that were a bad thing. I let it slide and went to start dinner, but the silence in the house was suffocating. Normally, she'd ask how my day went or tell me about hers. Not tonight. Finally, I asked, "Is everything okay?" She shut her laptop and looked at me with a serious expression. "Actually, there's something I need to talk to you about," she said. My stomach dropped. You know that feeling when you sense something horrible is coming, but you can't stop it? That was me, standing there with a spatula in my hand, dreading whatever was about to happen. She hesitated, like she was trying to find the right words. Then, without much build-up, she said, "I've been thinking about us, and about Dylan." I almost laughed. It was so absurd. "Dylan? Are you serious?" I asked. She avoided my gaze, biting her lip, and finally admitted, "I think I need some time to figure things out. I want to take a break and see if there's something still between me and Dylan." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Wait, so you want to take a break to date your ex?" I asked, incredulous. "Are you out of your mind, Tessa? We're engaged." She quickly tried to clarify. "It's not like that," she said. "I just need to be sure about my decision with you. If it doesn't work out, I promise I'll come back." That's when I realized how bold her request was. She expected me to just sit around and wait for her to decide if I was worth it. Something inside me snapped. I didn't shout or get angry. I just sat there, dumbfounded, wondering how I missed the signs. Finally, I asked, "So what does this break mean for you?" My voice came out calmer than I felt. She sat up straighter, clearly prepared for this conversation. "I think we need space to figure things out. I'll see if my feelings for Dylan are real and you can think about us too." I stared at her in disbelief. "Wait," I replied, leaning forward. "You want to date your ex and I'm supposed to reflect on us? What kind of twisted logic is that?" She shrugged, as if I was the one being unreasonable. "It's not about you, Liam," she said. "This is about me figuring out what I need." It was clear she had rehearsed this. The way she spoke, the way she deliberately avoided my gaze. It was almost as if she had already made up her mind about this happening and just needed me to accept it. "You realize how crazy this sounds, right?" I muttered, almost in disbelief. "You don't just put your fiancé on hold to go play what if with some guy who treats you like dirt." Her expression tightened, and for the first time, I saw just how stubborn she could be. "I'm not asking for your approval, Liam. I'm telling you what I need." Those words hit me differently. I wasn't just upset anymore. I was furious. I stood up, pacing back and forth, trying to keep my emotions in check. "So what, Tessa? You're just going to pack up and head over to Dylan's place? Is that your grand plan?" She shook her head. "Number. It's not like that. I don't even know what this looks like yet, but I need clarity before we can move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure I'm making the right choice." "You owe it to yourself?" I asked, scoffing. "What about what you owe me? We're engaged, Tessa. We're supposed to be building a future together. And now you're telling me you need to test drive your ex to figure out if I'm enough." "I never said you weren't good enough," she shot back, her voice rising. "But if we're going to spend our lives together, I have to be certain. And right now, I'm not." That was it. She wasn't just questioning her feelings for Dylan. She was doubting me, even after 4 years together, all our plans, all our history. The realization hit me hard, and I suddenly understood how ridiculous and painful her request was. She genuinely thought this was reasonable, expected me to just sit there while she sorted out whatever nonsense was going through her head. I stopped pacing and looked at her, really looked at her. "You know what? Fine," I said, my voice flat. "Take your break." She blinked, taken aback by how quickly I agreed. "I'm not trying to hurt you, Liam. I just need some space to figure things out." I nodded, keeping my face expressionless. "All right, if that's what you need." She paused, as if waiting for me to argue or beg for her to stay. When I didn't, she grabbed her laptop and muttered, "I'll stay at my mom's for a while. This isn't forever. We'll talk when I've had some time." "Okay," I replied simply. She hesitated, searching for a response, then disappeared into the bedroom. I could hear her throwing clothes and belongings into a bag. I stayed seated on the couch, calm on the outside, my mind racing. I reached out to my buddy Noah, my best friend since college. He's not the type to sugarcoat things. After hearing everything, he brought over some pizza, and we spent the whole night plotting. You do realize she's going to try and come crawling back once things fall apart with Dylan, right? Noah said. He was right, of course. The more we talked, the clearer it became that I needed to take control of the situation. This wasn't about revenge. It was about taking back control of my life. I started with the house. Tessa seems to forget it's entirely in my name. She loves to talk about how it's our home, always mentioning the curtains and paint colors she picked, but it's me who covers the mortgage. So, first thing Monday morning, I called a realtor. We listed the house, and it's already generating interest. Tessa has no idea. She probably thinks I'm just sitting here waiting for her to figure things out. Next, I began slowly removing her from my life. The live, laugh, love signs she insisted on, gone. Those fancy throw pillows she loved, donated. Her clothes and belongings, carefully packed up. But I wasn't just going to drop them off at her mom's. I hired a moving company to do it. They delivered everything and left a short note. Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan. Some might think that's petty, but I disagree. I'm not being spiteful. I'm being efficient. She wanted space to think. She's got it, literally. The best part came when our mutual friends started asking questions. Instead of trash-talking her or playing the victim, I just told the truth. Tessa decided she needed to figure things out with her ex before committing to marriage. I decided I deserve more than being someone's second choice. It's incredible how quickly people's perceptions shift when you just present the facts. I've also made progress at work. I applied for a position at our West Coast office, a move I'd been thinking about for a while. If the house sells and I get the job, I'll be starting fresh on the other side of the country. Tessa has tried to contact me multiple times this week, starting with lighthearted texts asking how I'm doing, and slowly escalating to more frantic messages when she saw I was actually taking action instead of waiting for her. Yesterday, she panicked when her mom told her the boxes had been delivered. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" I kept it simple. Because it is over, Tessa. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine. She started crying, claiming she just needed time to figure things out, that I was acting too quickly. "What did you expect?" I asked her. "That I'd sit here like a loyal puppy while you played games with your ex? That's not how this works." "But what if I realize you're the one I want?" she asked, still crying. "You'll have learned a valuable lesson about not taking people for granted," I said before hanging up. "The strange thing is, I'm no longer upset. I feel liberated. Every box I pack, every decision I make feels like I'm taking back parts of myself I didn't even realize I'd lost." Noah came by again yesterday to help me with packing. He noticed the change in me. "You seem different," he said. "More focused." He was right. I'm different. When Tessa first revealed her plans to pursue things with Dylan, it felt like my world was falling apart. Now I realize it wasn't my world crumbling. It was the illusion I'd been living in, finally falling apart. Well, I got the job, and the timing couldn't be better. The house is officially under contract, with the closing set for next month, but that's just the beginning. What's particularly interesting is how Tessa's relationship with Dylan is playing out. Through mutual contacts, I found out their rekindled passion isn't quite the fairy tale she hoped for. Turns out, 4 years didn't change Dylan much. He's still the same untrustworthy guy who cheated on her back in college. Now, here's where it gets juicy. Tessa has been trying to manage the narrative on social media by posting vague, inspirational quotes about self-discovery and following your heart. I decided to join in, but with a twist. I shared a simple, truthful post about my life update. Excited to announce I've accepted a new role in San Francisco. Sometimes, when one door closes, better ones open. Looking forward to this new chapter. The reactions started pouring in. Congratulations, questions about the move, and, of course, inquiries about Tessa. I kept my responses simple and honest. We're no longer together. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm exploring mine. This kicked off an incredible ripple effect in our social circle. The friends who were uncertain about what was going on now saw how I was handling the situation with dignity, while Tessa kept posting cryptic relationship quotes. The whole vibe shifted dramatically. Then came the professional fallout. Tessa's freelance design career, which relied heavily on word-of-mouth referrals, began to take a hit. Sarah, a mutual contact in tech, reached out to me. Over coffee, Sarah explained that Tessa had told everyone we were having a temporary break to grow individually, but something didn't feel right. I shared the details about Tessa wanting to date Dylan, and Sarah's face said it all. She didn't buy it. By the end of the week, several clients had pushed back their projects with Tessa. Not because I trashed her, but because, let's face it, who wants to work with someone who doesn't take commitment seriously? Tessa noticed the shift. Her texts became frantic. "Why are you telling people about Dylan? You're ruining my reputation. This isn't fair. I just needed time to think." To that last one, I replied, "You got what you wanted, time and space. How I spend mine is no longer your concern." Then came the moment of reckoning. Dylan, in his infinite wisdom, posted a photo of him and Tessa at the restaurant where she and I had our first date. It was clear she was trying to recreate our history with him. It was both pitiful and absurd. The post was taken down quickly, but the damage was already done. Our friends saw it, and the few who still sympathized with Tessa's "finding myself" narrative lost all respect for her. Even her sister reached out to me. "I'm so sorry about how she's handling this. You deserve better." The most satisfying part? I didn't need to be vengeful. I just lived my life with honesty and freedom, while Tessa tried to juggle two sides. The truth always comes to light. Tessa visited me at my office yesterday, distraught, claiming that Dylan was already showing his true colors, flirting with other women and proving untrustworthy. She cried, admitting she made a huge mistake, that she was scared of commitment and wasn't sure if there was something better out there. But by then, I had moved on. I calmly told her, "No, Tessa, the best thing that ever happened to me was you showing your true colors before we got married." She tried to argue, offering to go to counseling and prove she could be trusted again. I shook my head. "This isn't about Dylan anymore. This is about you treating me as a backup while you explored your options. That's not love, that's convenience." She left my office crushed, but I felt more liberated than ever. The house closes next week. Most of my things are packed, and in a month, my new life in San Francisco begins. The ironic part? Some people think I'm being too hard on her, that everyone makes mistakes. But this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. She chose to keep me as a safety net while she explored her options. Every lie, every text to Dylan, every time she planned to put our relationship on hold, they were all deliberate decisions. Once the move is completed, I'll share another update. For now, I'll leave you with this. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about getting even, but about getting better. And that's exactly what I'm doing. My new apartment boasts breathtaking views of the bay, and the local tech scene is incredible. My new office team is a great fit. It's refreshing to be around people who value growth and innovation instead of drama. But before I get into all that, let me bring you up to speed on how things wrapped up back home. The house closing went smoothly, and to my surprise, it sold for more than the asking price. Tessa didn't believe it at first. She found out through mutual friends, but it wasn't until she drove by and saw the new owners moving in that the reality set in. And then, Dylan reached out to me. Yes, Dylan. He sent me a long message apologizing for causing problems, claiming that Tessa had contacted him first, months before she wanted the break. Tessa had been planning her exploration for a while. She'd been messaging Dylan for months, laying the groundwork for her backup plan. The irony? Dylan ended things with her, saying, "If she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone." Tessa's professional downfall has been steep. Many of her clients started looking for other designers, not because I said anything, but because word spreads in the industry. One of her biggest clients contacted me, asking for a reliable designer who could commit to long-term projects. I recommended a talented acquaintance, and she secured the contract. Karma, I suppose. Tessa's social media antics have been something to behold. After posting sad quotes about losing her soulmate, she followed up with angry rants about toxic people who couldn't handle growth. Finally, she tried to convince everyone that she was thrilled with her new direction. The most interesting post was when she claimed she was starting her own design firm. 3 days later, she started sending out job applications.